across different industries, different sizes, multinationals, family-run businesses, and also very small firms. One of the common things that I have noticed, even Sumit would perhaps agree to me, is as a person who is getting appraised, we often believe that I don't think I have got a fair appraisal from my supervisor. I could have got a better appraisal. That's a very common feeling that we have found in people who are getting appraised. And with the client experience that we have, and I'm not including my corporate career of 17 years, we have had the opportunity of doing HR consulting training with over 100 clients. We have found there are three types of problems that we see in appraisal. We find one extreme appraisers who are very lenient, they're very popular, they want to give good marks or good ratings so that they remain popular with the team. The underlying fear is that if I try to be very strict with somebody during appraisal, that person may get demotivated, and that could be detrimental for the performance of the person as they go. The second type of managers I have found, supervisors we have found, are those who believe that now come annual appraisal, let me show you who's the boss. They are extremely stringent and very, very critical about their appraisal ratings. These are two extremes. However, all of us, those of us who have appraised people, would perhaps agree that the team that we have led or the people whom we have appraised, we have always come across few individuals who are very difficult to appraise. We find it very difficult to appraise them. More often than not, these are people who are very high performers, who deliver what is expected of them. However, they are not very respectful of many things that one should be in an organization. For example, discipline, other colleagues, processes, policies. Everybody is afraid that if we try to be really honest about our appraisal with that person, the person may get demotivated and the entire team's performance may go down. Today, what we are going to do is broadly look at two phenomena. One, what is the difference between an appraisal and a review? That's one. And second, how does one have an effective appraisal both from the perspective of the appraiser and the person who's getting appraised, the appraisee? If you look at the way we have designed this series of conversations, the previous month we spoke about KPI, KRA, potential, mindset. This session we are talking about appraisals. Coming month, we intend to talk about how do you assess a person while recruiting, and then we'll take it forward from there on various topics which concern people who are working in different organizations and who actually, the point that I'm trying to make always, this pandemic has made one thing very clear, that as a person who's working, who's a professional, whether the organization will do anything for you or not is not important. One needs to develop oneself in order to remain relevant as life and the journey of life progresses forward. Sumit, you have worked with Fortis, Kali Consultants, for some time with ICA EduSkills. I'm sure you have observed some interesting perspectives regarding appraisal. I mean, let me begin by you talking about what are your perspectives that you've gathered during this time that you have been in business. Your microphone needs to be unmuted, Sumit.
Yes, sir. So if I talk about my three experiences in the corporate world, I would say my first experience was with a company which is family led. So an organization who has the entrepreneur at the top, and mostly a kind of a family kind of an organization, small organization, though we had around 500 plus people at that time around multi-location in India. The second organization, Fortis Hospitals, was again family-led, but a bigger family-led. So it had a corporate office. It had more of a multi-location presence. It had multiple layers. Again, say a bigger corporate, if I would say from the India part of it. And the third organization was a multinational organization. So it was just not Kale. It had got merged with Excelia. Excelia, a Spanish company, had bought the Kale as a company, and they had merged up. So it was a multinational organization per se. And when I look at appraisals, and if I look at the work across the organizations in all the three, one of the commonality which I would say is this is something which was common everywhere. Like setting a goal, planning, preparing, performing, and getting results is a common thing, whether you are a small organization, a medium organization, or a big organization. Though sometimes it is in the head of a person and it is not a process. And the appraisals are, yes, they are a bit different when you look at a smaller organization. When you have your boss of the organization in the next cabin, people have that thought of just knocking in and going in and saying mera appraisal acha nahi hua. So being a HR head at ICA, I would say that was one of my observations, which apart from a system, a process which we would set, you would have people, if you are not really happy, you could walk up to the direct MD level kind of a thing. But when I worked at Fortis and when we looked at the appraisal part of it, it was a very big exercise which was happening across, and you had 3 4 levels, and you had one level up where you could go initially, and if not, then you had the HR board kind of a thing where you could go for arbitration if you want to. But the process was more if I say goals part of it, it started with the MD's goal going down to the HOD's goal, going down to the departmental head's goal, and so on. That is the first step. And when it goes back from the appraisal part of it, the lowest person, the reporting manager would appraise, and then the superior would sign off. And if there is a problem, they would solve, or if there's an arbitration board, that would solve, and so on. And when I look at Excelia, it was more on systems. They had their, it was not on Excel, it was not on IT kind of thing. They had their entire system in place where it was all based on the click of a button. So the entire appraisals, I don't remember my boss who was heading a team of around 25 30 people actually met all the people. It was more about over the phone, or just basically this is the rating which we are going to give you, and then the discussion would happen. Do you have to say anything? And things happened. So I have spilled the beans about things.
No, no,
And
I think what we are talking about is not about criticizing any organization or praising another. It's
yeah,
about the
so these are the
experiences
various
that we have
practices.
gathered,
Yeah,
which
these are the various
could be
practices.
beneficial as we go forward.
True. So if I take this opportunity to take this a bit further, uh, I believe every person here, maybe from Alok to Anjan to Gautam to Muhammad Amzad to Pankaj Verma, Palmi, Ranjit, Raghunathan, Shalini, Shloka, I welcome you all, and I put across a question to you. When this is a single 5 line step, if I may say, to go from getting goals to from setting goals to getting results, do you think there is something missing in it, or do you think this is first class, everything is right to go, and you do not want to add anything? Or are there any views which come to you about this process of business, or do you think there is something which you would like to add to?
Please unmute yourself when we are talking, because we want this to be more of a conversation, as the name suggests. And there is nothing right, wrong. Please feel free to contribute, because collectively, I think our wisdom and knowledge is much more than Sumit and I put together. That's the basic philosophy. Anybody can comment. I mean, what
Good afternoon.
is a linear process? Is that good enough? Okay. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Somebody.
Yes, Anjan.
Good afternoon, Sumit sir, and good
Yes.
afternoon, Deepak sir. So I think this is a little, when you say set a goal, it can be a little oversimplified, this description, because look at an organization. So say the proprietor has the job of growing the business. So his goal can be sales based, yeah, increase the top line. But in the same organization, you can have, say, an accounts department. So their goal is just compliance. So in that case, perhaps their goal could be that that you reduce the number of penalties or increase the number of timely filings, but it is not so growth oriented. So it is skewed in the favor of the proprietor, say.
Okay. That's interesting.
Right?
Yes.
Mr. Anjan Banerjee wanted to comment.
Uh, I have a feeling that oftentimes what I have seen in my career is that you set objectives at the beginning of a period, which could be a year, and then there comes a time at the end of the year or just approaching the end of the year when you do appraisal. Now, most often, structured interim feedback may be lacking or could be lacking in frequency. That would ensure that there is a lesser gap between the appraiser and the appraisee in their views of appraisal of the performance being targeted at. This is where, of course, it may be a periodic feedback which keeps on going in day-to-day meetings and stuff like that sometimes, but a structured feedback needs to be introduced to bridge the gap between the perceptions of the appraiser and the appraisee on the performance itself.
Awesome. So Anjan, if I may understand and reiterate the point that with the feedback which happens is that the relationship between the appraisee and the appraiser, the reporting manager and the person, it improves or it doesn't improve? Does it affect on the relationship as well?
It does, very much it does. Because if I as an appraisee view my appraiser as somebody who understands me better, it does lead to a better acceptance of the feedback. And
Okay.
not most often the feedback may contain some elements which are critical and not just appreciative. So I cannot always be receiving a pat at the back for whatever I do. Now that becomes easier to accept the hard feedback if there is a good relationship and good acceptance of the manager.
Awesome.
I mean, for those of us
So,
who just now heard Mr. Anjan Banerjee speak, sorry, Sumit, I
yeah,
really like the use of the word critical rather than negative. I think
yeah.
that's very, very important. One of the important points about Brazil, which I derive from this sentence which Mr. Banerjee spoke about, is that you know criticism has to be constructive. It is just not about negativity. It is about positivity, where the tool towards positivity is criticism, and that's very, very important. So, Mitch, you were saying something.
Yeah. So with this feedback which comes in, critical and constructive feedback which brings in the positivity, does it really affect on the planning, the preparation and the performance stage as well? Or is it just related to the results?
It has to
The
cover
question
the
is open
entire
to
phase.
all.
Yeah,
Has to cover the entire phase.
it has to cover the entire fees. True. So the only thing missing in the linear part, if we may say, is this, that whatever we have looked at the goal and the results, when we start comparing them from the goal and the results part of it, it would bring in a feedback which could be related to the person per se, because I've removed the person from this process. So it would definitely be for the person, but the person would also get a feedback for his planning stage, for his preparation and for his performance as well. And an interesting question arises here, which I have seen practically happen and not theoretically, is when there is a comparison between goals and results, in that discussion between the reporting manager and the person, the feedback is such many a times from the appraisee, not the appraiser, not the reporting manager, from the person, that the person sometimes challenges the manager to say कि sir goal ही set proper नहीं किया था, we have to change the goal. So I have a question for all of you here before Deepak sir comes in, is do you think that a comparison between goals and results when it is happening as a manager, when you put it across. If your reporting person says, boss, we have to change the goal, uh, how okay are you with changing the goal? You could put in your answers in the chat. You could unmute yourself and tell us your views about changing the goal, resetting the goal if required, during the process of comparison between goals and results. Or you could speak as well, unmute and talk.
Anybody, please. This is a very important time that we are going through. The question is it okay to reset the goals during the course of the year based on an appraisal that you do with your appraisee and based on the discussion that happens? Any thoughts in the chat box, Sumit?
Not yet.
No
So
thoughts?
if you're having your lunch and your hands are busy, I know you're multitasking, but if you have some thoughts, do send us in the chat, or you could unmute and speak as well. Feel free to contribute. Has
Well,
it
while
happened
you
with
people
you?
start, yes.
Has it happened with you in your life that you as a person of execution go back to your manager and say, boss, goal hi galat hai? Okay, we have first response which comes in. It says resetting the goal is acceptable subject to concrete plan and outcome from the plan of the goal need to be replaced.
Okay.
So Amjad,
Somebody
you
has
would like to
mentioned about half
elaborate?
yearly goals.
Yeah, that must come to you as a private message. So resetting the goal is
Okay.
acceptable subject to concrete plan. Okay. So he says, sir, resetting of goal is acceptable to if you have a concrete plan and outcome from the plan of the goal need to be replaced. Second
Great.
comment comes in is, yes, it should be okay. That's why some organizations follow half yearly goals. Yeah, that's Mr. Raghunathan. That's half yearly goals which you read about.
I'll just add to what has been said. Whether your goal setting will be annual, half yearly, quarterly, monthly also depends on the industry that you are operating in and the volatility of the industry. However, I just want to add two things in context to what we've discussed so far. In any business, I think results definitely, as Shlok mentioned, is the primary focus. However, what is equally, if not more important, is that how do we achieve those results? And I think one of the primary reasons why we must have an appraisal at a certain interim period instead of waiting for a year, as Mr. Banerjee said, is to recalibrate the efforts in the with the appraisee so that the chances of achieving the goals improve. It is extremely important, and I think it's the fundamental duty of the reporting manager to guide the appraisee in terms of what he or she needs to do in order to achieve the goals that have been set with uh, mutual understanding and agreement.
True. So having this basic thought process coming in, that there is always a checkpoint where we check whether we are on the track of the goal or not, or have we deviated. We normally bring in reviews. We normally bring in something which we call as a feedback opportunity or a review opportunity. I've seen organizations having weekly review meetings, annual review, daily stand-up meetings, and so on. So you have kind of review meetings happening across. And the question which is open to all now is, if there is a review mechanism in place, and there are many review mechanisms, is appraisal really required, or is appraisal different from review? Because I heard managers say, we do daily appraisals, हम रोज feedback देते हैं. Why do I need really appraisals? So my question to all present here is, as managers, as people who are day in and day out touch with your team members, day in and day out touch with your managers, do you really feel the need of an appraisal? Don't you think appraisal and review is almost the same thing?
Or is it different?
So that's I'm leading them to, is it same? And Deepak sir has very kindly said, is it different?
Any thoughts? Please feel free. I think, Sumit, we
Yes,
are unable to
Amjad.
excite people.
Yes, Amjad, you have raised your hand. You could speak.
Yes, yes, sir. Very good afternoon, Deepak sir and Sumit sir and all the participants over here. Sir, yes, actually, review meets is something very important where we give them ideas where they can improve themselves. If there is any kind of modification need to be done in their performance, what has been done, and something which is do's and don'ts, this can be guided. So here, doing monthly reviews, the performance can be monitored, and end of the year, or maybe like as we always do that, twice a year we do the performance appraisal, which would be, one would be the dry appraisal and other one will be the actual appraisal. So that can be followed, sir.
And would you like to highlight on what is dry appraisal and actual appraisal, Mohammed?
Of course, sir.
Amjad, please.
So when we talk about dry appraisal, wherein we will be like, for an example, 2 quarters, if any, like a candidate we are gonna appraise, at that point in time, we will be just talking about what is the performance they have done, how they have come up, and what is the scoring they have done, what are the areas they have to improve, so that they don't need they don't miss out the actual appraisal when it comes to the terms of commercials, what they are going to earn from us. So this could be the actual
Right.
performance.
Okay. So when money or increment or bonus or something related to salary is included, then it is actual appraisal.
Appraisal.
And if it is not, then it is dry appraisal. Wow.
Right.
Thank you. Any more views? Any more inputs? Any more suggestions? Go ahead, Mr. Patel. Anyone else? Patil sir, we are not able to
Shalini has
hear.
made a comment. Shalini has made a comment.
Yeah.
Sumit, would you like to
Yeah.
read it out for us?
Shalini says, not at all same, sir. Review is just to check the track of your appraisee. I mean, if they are on the right track or not, we can say with reviews, we can align the appraising.
Okay.
Okay, let me come in, Patil this side.
Yes, Mr. Patil, go ahead.
When we are comparing or we're trying to understand appraisal and review, first of all, like why are we doing it? So the objective of doing this has to be probably known to everybody. Now, one is, okay, we all understand appraisal is for assessing your annual performance and whether you are worth promoting or not. Let me put it straightforward. Vice versa, in review, it is generally shorter periods, maybe a quarter or a monthly or whatever it is. Now, the point which I want to make is, it has to be both ways. Like when you do a review, say for example, there are issues, there are problems. So you can't only question that why you fell short of your targets, but also there has to be some mechanism to solve your problems. And if that way it happens, then the review or appraisals will be effective. Normally, what happens is the problems are not resolved by the top management. They say it is up to you to decide how to solve your problems. I'm looking at why are we not meeting the targets. So how do we address this? Okay, that's all. Yeah.
Interesting points. Deepak sir, you would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Patil, thank you for your insightful thoughts. One of the points that I want to add to what you said, and I have no disagreement in what you said, is it's not about top management alone. think of a large organization which is spread over many locations, many functions, many employees, many managers. I think somewhere the reporting manager has to take ownership of resolving whatever challenges that his team is facing in terms of achieving the goals that is set for the team. I think that's very, very important. And for that matter, if the organization is empowered, people in the organization are empowered, and I can say that based on a couple of organizations where I have worked, it doesn't always need to go back to the management at the top. And in fact, my experience suggests, and that too I'm talking of when in consulting, that it all depends on the majority of the people who are at various levels of hierarchy. There are people who, when given authority, do not use it at all. That's more than people who misuse it. And somewhere, people at the top do not have the confidence to empower people down the line. And there are many reasons for it, and that's a different chapter altogether. But I think at the end of the day, think of an army fighting a battle at the war front. It is the captain on the field which is executing the strategies decided or formulated by maybe the field marshal sitting in the headquarters. However, while fighting the war, if the captain finds that he needs to make a deviation because of the situation on the ground, that person needs to be empowered. Otherwise, the war or battle will not be won. And that is the training which I think is lacking in frontline supervisors. And I'm making a very sweeping comment. I don't have statistics, it's based on observation. I think the biggest or the most weak link in any organization is first line supervisors. My
Awesome.
Suggest that people who have done well as a non-supervisory role get but nobody is there or healthy role. And that is what perhaps has given rise to the saying that you convert a good sales, promote a good salesman to a sales manager. In the process, you may lose a good salesman and create a poor sales manager.
So can I just come in on this?
Yes, Mr. Patil.
You use a very correct word that there are situations.
Let me
Deepak, we are able to get your voice a bit disconnected for a few seconds in between.
Who's mine?
Like, yeah, now it is right.
No, Mr. Patil was saying something. I was waiting for him to complete.
Yes, Mr. Patil, go ahead now.
Yeah. So you were mentioning about the top management or the reporting managers. They somehow don't have the confidence in down the line for various reasons. I agree. And secondly, you talked about empowering the teams or empowering the team leaders, team members, and so that they can take decisions and resolve the issues. And now it is well said than actually understood or implemented. So what are your suggestions on that? Like, how do we build that confidence from top to down, and how do we empower people?
Mr. Patil, thank you. This is a very big question. Sumit, thanks to Mr. Patil, we know one topic that we need to include in conversations is how do you delegate and empower? Mr. Patil, we will do this because this is a very large subject, and if I get into it, I will get derailed from the purpose of today's discussion. We will do this as quickly as possible. We'll definitely invite you once again because that's one area where I think there's a lot of work which has been done. And there is a lot of work which needs to be done, and we would like to share those in that discussion. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and there is a lot of problems in that. And I'll tell you some simple ways of doing it. I think it begins with the leader. and how much, and it begins with what is the quality of people that you are having in your team. And when I say quality, I'm not saying that they are all stars. I mean, there are many ways of looking at quality. What I will do is, let me move to our logic in terms of what is the difference between appraisal and review. And simply stated, review is done anytime. It is not a very fixed type thing at any point of time. For example, you are observing a colleague at work and you observe that person for an hour. After that hour, you can have a review with that person. And it is more recency driven. What's happening immediately, then situational. I mean, it depends on the context in which it is being done. And it's also more informal. The formality has is what happened? Something is
Sorry,
wrong.
your voice was getting disconnected, so I tried that. Now it's working. You are there. You are
All
visible.
right. So situational, it's more informal and it doesn't really need a lot of preparation. Whereas appraisals, if you're really serious of appraisal, it has to be preset in terms of time. It is for a period. It is more holistic in terms of looking at the person and the performance. It's done in a more formal environment. And most importantly, it needs a lot of preparation. And we are going to talk about it as we go forward from both the side of the appraiser as well as the appraisee. You know, to give an analogy, review is like a still photograph, whereas appraisal is like a movie. And if you have seen the shooting of a film, they shoot a lot of scenes and then pick it up and connect it into a edited mm, uh, view, which we all like. And this is what appraisal is all about. You need to look at over the period of time, facts, logic, data, and then sort of create a sequence of events which would be discussed, which are relevant for the appraisal and the appraisal. So this is the two essential difference between review and appraisal. A review is more informal. It is done for a short period of time. It is more on a recent happening like the monthly sales numbers, where you talk more about numbers, not so much about anything else. Whereas the appraisal is for a period of time and it is done in a much more formal manner, and one looks at the person more holistically. What is it is something we'll discuss. Sumit has a very important question and he asked me this when we were preparing for this session. And the question, Sumit, is
What does the cow give? And this has been a very important question throughout my life. Now, not politicizing the cow here, but looking
yeah,
at it
yeah,
as, yeah, looking at it as from the point of
you must
view
guide.
of, yeah, looking at it from the point of view of the thought which comes to your mind when you say, what does the cow give? And I know each one of you here would have the thought saying milk. Yes, no, maybe. So if the thought of milk comes up, that is so very obvious that we really look at very similarly to the word appraisal. So what does the appraisal bring in? So the appraisal brings in increased salary, money, and promotion and bonus. This is something which we really think of it. And is it so? That's the biggest question. Does the cow really give milk, or do you have to milk the cow? What really cow gives is all other stuff than the milk. You don't have to really ask the cow to give what other stuff we get from the cow, but milk is something which you have to really milk the cow. And on the similar lines, when you really look at appraisal, when you really look at what appraisal is all about, it has certain elements which are the main products, or which are what you have to really milk the cow, the important part of it. And then there are byproducts like what the cow gives. So any ideas on what is the main product or the main reason of an appraisal, and what is the byproduct or the outputs which you think are from the appraisal? Any ideas? Anyone would like to bring in one or two sentences before I bring in the points? Any responses in chat or talk are most welcome. So all those who were there with me in my last conversation, which we did with Deepak sir, we were talking about KRA, KPI. So yes, when you really look at products of appraisal, it is KRA or goals versus results. That's the first point of discussion and output which you have to really look forward to, that it is about what goals were set and what is the current results. Second is about the KPIs versus performance. So what were the performance indicators which you had agreed to, of what you would be doing, and how actually have you worked on it? So that's KPI versus performance. And the third is the DMI. Remember DMI, anyone? So DMI, that is what it was his will. How was he really involved in the discussion? Was it really he brought in whatever elements as engaged, or did he just do the tick mark part of it? So that's the third level which you have to really look at it from the product part of it. That is the main output which you are looking at it from. And this is something which really helps you also dictate on performance with people, because many a times I have to deliver something. I can do it by being engaged, or I do it just casually without being engaged. And that is also a part of the appraisal process to be done. And finally comes is the potential. So you have bars, that is the behaviorally anchored rating scale for potential, and how actually are you as compared to what bars are expected from you. So these four are the major things which we have to really concentrate when we are looking at appraisal. And if you are looking at the byproducts of it, we are really looking at what we usually commonsensically talk about, कि appraisal मतलब reward है, appraisal मतलब recognition है, promotion है, increment है. So if this comes as a train with 200 kilometers per hour coming towards you, कि क्या बात कर रहे हो? Seriously, so sir, seriously true. Appraisal's main objective is to look at the four things on the left hand side, which is KRA, KPI, DMI bars, and what is actual. So it is expected minus current is the gap which you have to look at. That's the main ECG which we are looking at. What we really look at as reward, recognition, promotion, increment, that should be a byproduct. That shouldn't be the main objective of the appraisal.
In fact, I'll just add to what Sumit said and why we are talking of this as a byproduct. If you must have all seen that there is this normal distribution in terms of performance. So there are some people who are exceptionally good and some people who are not at all good. And most of the people are in between. So the people who are in between anyway will get an increment based on the financial performance of the company and many other things, industry standards, etc., etc. Whereas very few people will get rewarded, recognized, and promoted, and there are some people who may have to be eased out of the organization. The important point that we are trying to make is that appraisal is the process by which you can do multiple things, not only sort of evaluate or assess the person on all the four parameters which Sumit has mentioned on the left hand side, but also look at what are the training requirements for different individuals and group of individuals, so that collectively as a team we can perform better in the future. I just quote something which I read in the social media recently, that our success in Australia cricket, Mohammad Siraj has actually thanked Rahul Dravid for the sort of growth that he has had in his career. And he said that he was observed by Rahul Dravid during his performance in Ranji Trophy. And that is where Rahul spoke to him, told him what all he is doing right. And he said that now I will try and include you in the India A team, so that there are a couple of areas where you need to improve, which you can improve when you get an exposure at an international level. and that is paying dividends today. So it's basically the results, performance, will, and what Rahul did was looked at the potential and then identified where Mohammad Siraj needs to improve so that he can compete and be a part of the senior team. And that's the key point that we are trying to make. Another point which I want to make is that often when we think of training, we only think of people who are not so senior in the organization. My experience is converse. I think people at the senior most levels in the organization need to be trained first. Of course, at their level of hierarchy, which is relevant, because without them getting trained, lot of training at the bottom of the may not yield results, because it is very, very important that we look at this entire appraisal as a sort of a platform or a discovery which would help us to take the organization to next levels based on the work that we are doing.
Awesome. So let me take this discussion a bit further from appraisal and reviews to get into the appraisal part of it. And if I were to ask you guys, what is an ideal appraisal? What do you really think an ideal appraisal would be called as? One line answer, if you could say, okay, this is what is an ideal appraisal. Would love to hear your views on the chat, or unmute yourself and tell us, what do you feel is an ideal appraisal?
Let me add to Sumit, there is nothing called ideal. However, whatever you think is close to ideal or ideal to you,
Yeah. Ideal to
because this
them.
is a very subjective comment that you are going to make.
So if I give my definition of ideal appraisal till
No
others
thoughts?
come in, is a very simple line which I say is
Yeah.
both appraisee and appraiser should go out happy. That's one small definition. Mohammed,
Win-win.
yeah, Amjad says win-win.
Similar lines as what Sumit has said. Win-win.
Yeah. Any more responses? Any more inputs? Let's take this further, Deepakda. Over to you.
Well, to me, appraisal is all about the intersection of three basic phenomena. First and foremost, nobody is good, nobody is bad in absolute terms. It is about the role that the person is performing or expected to perform, the responsibilities that the person is supposed to deliver, and in order to do so, the way the person conducts himself or herself. I'm using the word conduct because conducting is a combination of skill, knowledge, behavior, attitude, everything. And this is judged or assessed over a period of time. And to me, that is appraisal. And that is specific to the period of time. And I'm very, very clear you are judging the person against the role that the person was expected to perform during that period of time. It is not an absolute assessment of a person being good or bad. It is in context to the role that he is playing and what did he do in order to perform that role. So in a way, assessment appraisal is about past behavior because you are doing a appraisal for a period of time which is gone, and it is done in the present context because what may have worked in the past 1 year may have to be uh, sort of reviewed and redone in the current year because business dynamics have changed. I think something is wrong with Sumit's internet connectivity. He is off the grid. And it also must incorporate what is the future expectation from the appraisee, without which it is incomplete. And therefore, it is very, very important that we are clear about what are we appraising the appraisee for, what are the acceptable standards, and what are the areas where we you have raised your hand to say something. Shalini, you want to say something? No? I think has dropped off. Just give me a moment. Just uh, sort of start the presentation from my side, because otherwise we will not be able to complete it on time. There is some, this is the problem with technology. So any thoughts that you would like to share while I get my slides ready?
We got the slide on,
Or,
sir. Deepak, I've got the slides on.
You've got it on?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Sumit. All right. So I was, when you dropped off, let's move on to the next thought that we want to share. And I think that's the key thought, which is written at the bottom of the slide, that appraisal is about 5 P's by the appraiser and appraisee. Would anybody like to share what could be the 5 P's? Any thoughts? Any thoughts?
One of the P could be people, right?
Please feel free. Anybody else? Any thoughts? What are the 5 P's? And when we are talking of this 5 P's, let us be very, very clear that we are talking both from the perspective of the person who's appraising and the person who's getting appraised. The first P is about preparation. And this includes planning of how the appraisal will be conducted, when the appraisal will be conducted, what is the time that we will have at our disposal for the appraisal. And this preparation needs to be done both by the person who is appraising and the person who is getting appraised. My experience suggests that person who's getting appraised is, "Arey, hamara kya hai, wo to boss dekhenge," and he or she doesn't prepare himself. P is a very difficult P. Any prejudice that may be there in our mind about the person whom we are appraising as an appraiser, or the appraisee may have prejudice about the person who is appraiser. अरे ये boss तो उसको favor करेगा, मुझे कम marks देगा. Both way it is prejudiced, and this prejudice is often driven by recency effect. That this guy has failed recently, so he is not good. Or this guy has done a wonderful job recently, therefore he is very good. It works both ways. I have hired this person, so I cannot give him a bad appraisal. I like this person for whatever reason, because he says good morning, smiles at me, whatever, etc. And therefore I have to be more soft to that person. The point is, we need to be aware of what could be the prejudices and prepare ourselves to be off the prejudice during the time, at least, when we are appraising each other. Next is about potential. It is about people behavior. It is about results. It is about performance. All these need to be discussed. And this can only happen if the preparation, which is the first P, is done well. We can always tell a person that, wow, you have a great future. The person will feel good. However, if we tell a person that, see, Sumit, you have a great future because I have observed these three things about you during this period of 3 months, and which I believe is extremely good qualities that you have to move up in your role in the career that you are pursuing, and therefore build on this. And these are the couple of things where you can improve yourself to truly realize your potential. This could be one side of discussion. Another side of discussion could be, well, you have done well. However, you could have done better. And why? It is very easy to say so without giving the reasons. And this brings to the next P. We must be very clear that how are we going to, what is the sequence of discussion is very, very important. What do I bring first? What follows one from the other? Because if one is not structured, then one will go very haphazard and the utilization of the time cannot be very good. Here, let me tell you, based on my experience of having conducted thousands of appraisals during my career, it is very important that we must follow the KISS principle in terms of conducting the appraisal process. Keep it short and simple. If at all anybody else had any other thoughts on the word KISS. And the final thing that we often miss out, and I've seen many people miss out, is what are the next steps. We often talk of the next steps for people whom we want to promote, whom we want to take forward. But that's the minority. I mean, given the normal distribution, bulk of the people are who may not get promoted. But what are the next steps? What is it that we expect from them based on the appraisal that I'm conducting today? And what could be the changes that may be required, not only because of the appraisals, but because of the business dynamics that are changing very fast in this world. So that brings us to the next question. Sumit, would you like to ask that question to the group?
Yes. When we talk about appraisals, we talk about the 5 Ps, we talk about all these different things happening. So the question comes in is, if we are getting into an appraisal meeting, whose responsibility is it? Is it the appraisers or is it the appraisees? Who is more important for doing the appraisal meeting?
Both. Amjad is in good form. He says both.
Yeah.
And Amjad, you are correct. Correct.
So when
And why we brought up this point is question. And Sumit, you want to say something?
yes. So when we say both's responsibility, the biggest problem comes is it's like the anybody, nobody, everybody story that he should do it, he should do it. So is it really that just by saying both we are out of our responsibility, or does the appraiser and the appraisee needs to discuss before of what is whose responsibility? Should there be a discussion, Siddesh, Shalini, Mohammad, all of you who have said that it is equal responsibility of both or both's responsibility to discuss pre of what has to be the responsibility of preparation, planning, and all that before getting into the meeting? Yes, sir. Over to you.
Uh, you know, one of the things that I forgot to mention and I want to bring in here in terms of preparation is, I think it is the responsibility of the appraiser to inform the appraisee well in time in terms of what all will be discussed in the appraisal, so that the appraisee gets adequate time to prepare himself or herself to have a very meaningful conversation. Appraisal is not a one-way process. It is not that the appraiser keeps giving feedback. The more successful appraisals are those where there is a meaningful conversation and where both have the right to give feedback to each other and discuss if there are any differences of opinion, and also identify areas which are helping them to work better as a team. So what it brings me to the next is the behavior that could be used as drivers to have a more effective appraisal. From the appraiser's point of view, as Sumit had spoken about the cow product and byproduct, the first and foremost thing is you must look at the complete picture. Don't look at bits and pieces. As an appraiser, I have benefited by always pre-deciding the final takeaway. And this final takeaway could be positive for the person who is getting appraised, could also be a critical feedback that I want to drive home during the appraisal. However, if you do not pre-decide it, you will never be able to conduct the appraisal in a manner that your goals are met at the end of the appraisal. Third point is very, very important.
Just to interrupt
Yeah.
for a second, sir, the final takeaway, do you mean by it as the rating to be decided pre?
Oh, not at all. In fact, in none of my appraisals we have ever disclosed the ratings. No way. It is about what are the next steps based on the appraisal. That is the final takeaway. Thank you, Sumit, for clarifying that. The third point, which is very, very important, is where we must realize that we are dealing with human beings. We must anticipate the sentiments, especially when we are talking negative, and the opposition that we may face from the appraisee when we are conducting the appraisal. Fourth situation is, I am not the boss, you are not the team member. Please note, I didn't use the word subordinate. It has to be adult to adult ego state. I have often found that a lot of appraisers speak or operate from the parent to child ego state, and that is incorrect. Then you start preaching, you don't start discussing. That's dangerous and that's not desirable. And finally, the appraisal must remember that one needs to have a constructive way forward, even if you have destroyed the appraisee during the appraisal. There are people who haven't done well at all, and they have to be told that. So you are destroying that person. Destruction is the key message that you're giving in appraisal. However, at the end of the day, one must be very, very clear that positive mindset at the end of the appraisal. And that can happen only if the first point that we're going to discuss from the appraisee's drivers of behavior is the appraisee approaches with an open mind. If I come in that this guy will anyway crucify me, I will be blocking my thoughts, I will be hearing, I will not be appraising, not be listening. Appraisee must prepare by doing a self appraisal, whether it is demanded as a part of the process or otherwise. So self appraisal for preparation is very, very important for the appraisee to ensure that the person has an effective appraisal. Again, the appraisee also must operate from an adult to adult ego state. And here, sorry, so the appraisee should be open to listening and to responding, and more importantly, adult to adult ego state, and maintaining eye contact is very important. I have often found that appraisees do not maintain eye contact, especially if the person who is appraising is senior, both in terms of years of service and age. And finally, as an appraisee, we must remember perception is reality. If it is correct, it is correct. One has to correct it if the appraiser's perception is incorrect, and one needs to reinforce it if the appraiser's performance is correct. It's important, therefore, now, and I hope you appreciate the 5 P's that we spoke about, that if we do not have those 5 P's in mind, we cannot have an effective appraisal, both from the appraiser's perspective as well as the appraiser's perspective. And the drivers of behavior have to be governed by these bullets that you are seeing in front of you. We are coming towards the end of the session. Sumit wants to have an interesting round with you in terms of some questions that he wants to ask you. Sumit.
Yeah. Before I get on to the next slide, there is one very wonderful comment which has come in the chat box from Siddesh. She says self-review and reporting person's review required for meetings. And this harnesses the very important point which Deepak started saying, that normally appraisals is where it is the manager speaks, but it should be the other way around, where it begins with the appraisee. He begins with his self-review. He talks about it, and the appraiser doesn't intervene or interfere and cut short the appraisee. It is his time to present of what he feels is his self review, and then the appraiser brings in his view, and that is the key challenge for the appraiser. Imagine as an appraiser, you enter into a meeting room saying that Siddesh is a non-performer and I'm going to give him the best of the feedback. I'm going to really let him know today that he has not fulfilled his promises. And Siddesh comes to back and says, boss, I am the best. I have done everything so wonderful. Whatever you have said, Deepak, I have completed. Now, what would Deepak in that situation do? And how would he really manage? And that is somewhere where a lot of other points like anticipating sentiments, opposition, being adult, and being specific, not really talking about perceptions, but talking about numbers comes as a point. Thank you, Siddesh. Thank you, Amjad, for your comments. And let me take you to the final slide, 1 minute into our time, where I would like to have your responses on the chat. And let me tell you, there is no right or wrong answer, and hence this is about your perception about the next few points. And the first point comes in here. In an appraisal meeting, the appraisee should present self-evaluation first. Do you believe this is
Just
true, or
discuss
do
it.
you believe this is false?
You just discuss it as a point which Siddesh
Yeah,
mentioned. So he preempted you, Sumit. Yeah, of course.
yeah. It comes as true. It is my only thing which I've heard false from is those managers who really want to make it quick. They say itna time nahi hai, 20 people are there. While get into the meeting, I'll tell them, boss, this is your rating, happy, not happy, let's talk about it later. And then I look at listening to them because
Sumit,
I do it
I have
every
seen
day.
people. I have seen people who have a lot of people to be appraised. They submit the appraisals themselves, don't even discuss with people.
Yeah.
I've seen this with organizations. That's
Yeah.
incorrect.
Yeah. And I've seen people who are afraid of their appraisees, who cannot face them, and hence they do not want them to set up and present self appraisal, but they are like kind of cunning people who say, I will begin so that I don't give a chance to the other person and I'll just kill him off. So even the afraid and the cunning kind of managers would not give a chance to people, to appraisees to first top off. And I know nobody's cunning and afraid over here in this room, but that's something which you have to be aware of, that this is a perception which the appraisee would carry if you do not allow the appraisee to present. Let me go to point number 2. Appraisal should be a very structured process.
Agree, disagree, true, false.
Yeah, so we have a difference of opinion here, a
Not
few
really.
trues and a few false coming up. True and false. So many a times when we really look at,
Amjad said false.
yeah, Raghunathan also says 60-40. So yeah, we can remove the word very from here is one input which is coming in from Shalini. So give me the challenges which you face, which you think when we say structured or very structured, what are the challenges which you see? Why do you really want it to be a little less structured? Are we misinterpreting structure to formal and informal? Is that something which are we saying that? Or why are we fearing the structure part of it? What is the benefit of flexible process? Why are we look? What are the benefits of flexible process which you are looking forward? Let's have your points. You can unmute and speak as well, or you could type in the chat your views. Or which are the situations where flexible processes
Oh,
are invited?
very interesting. Appraisee thinks the results are pre-planned.
Wow. Yeah. Comfort zone also plays a vital role. Great.
Right.
Deepak, they would like to bring in some inputs on this.
Yeah, my zone as well as it is predetermined. And it also depends from organization to organization. And where there are organizations which we have seen where we have a very elaborate appraisal process, very submitted. Faith in the entire appraisal. This year is going to be tough. And this morning I received an email from a classmate from IIT, my classmate from IIT, Alagu, who's a very renowned consultant. Was a very renowned
I believe we have lost Deepak Da. Is it? So internet is playing its way on. Let me take you.
Darshan
Yeah.
tried to sort of help me with that. Thank you, Darshan. Okay, so I was talking about Alagu. He received our newsletter based on the KPI conversations that we did last month, and he said that we have triggered few thoughts for him. He's a very eminent consultant based out of Bangalore. And he says that this year with the pandemic, it is going to be very, very difficult because of reasons we know. And he's talking of 4 things that as appraisers we must keep in mind. And I thought I will share this. Thank you, Alagu, for doing that. One is we must be empathetic. This year, the need for empathy during appraisal needs not be overemphasized. Second, we must be prepared. See, again, very independently speaking, must be prepared because every organization is going through different phases because of the disruption in business that has happened due to the pandemic. How much financially strong are we? Can we afford what type of monies to give as increments? It's very, very important that we take everything into consideration. Third, be open to hearing people out. It is so important, and I think that reinforces the point which Sumit was trying to make, that we must hear people out because everybody has his or her own challenges during this time. And he says, be fair. And I quote what he has written: this is not a time to go by the book. The book was not written for the pandemic. So exercise judgment and stand up for your people where you believe it is necessary. I think this is fantastic. And he says in conclusion, and I want to read it out before we conclude, Sumit takes it forward. He says, today the business environment is more uncertain than ever. The pandemic was like a crash course on uncertainty, but it is not like everything will go back to normal after it. And I think that's a very pertinent point that he makes. Like winding roads, uncertain circumstances require frequent course corrections. The nature of conversations between leaders and managers need to change. They need to collaborate to reach outcomes. Being nimble in performance is more important than an efficient performance evaluation system. I think he makes a huge point here. And he says, simplify the process rather than over engineering it. The trust coefficient is more important than ever. And he finally concludes, and that has to go both ways. I mean, I was so thrilled to receive his email this morning. So I took print out so that I could read out verbatim what he has written, and it will appear in his blog. And believe me, he has mentioned in that it has been triggered by the video that he has observed of our previous session, and he felt he should pen down some thoughts. Sumit, all yours.
Thank you. Appraisal should result in agreement of the rating and in agreement of the next steps. How many of you believe this is true or this is not true? Should it result in agreement or it's okay?
The question which arises is what happens if there is no agreement?
Yeah.
And that's very critical. And I think what I have done is I have faced such situations. In the appraisal form, I have always mentioned in writing that this is the area of disagreement between me and the person who is being appraised. And that is more important to be documented so that it's fair. I mean, you don't have to agree every time. It is not possible. However, if everything is disagreeable, then there's something wrong in the reporting relationship or the appraisal process. Then I suppose somebody senior has to intervene to find out what exactly is the next Smith was
So
mentioning.
normally we look at a disagreement in rating to be escalated to a committee or to the next boss. What about the disagreement in the next steps? Does it really happen between appraisers and appraisee about the next steps, or you feel people find it fine?
No thoughts? My experience, Sumit, is that if there is a agreement or disagreement in the next steps, it is often because the appraiser has not prepared himself or herself.
Okay.
If the appraiser has prepared and planned the appraisal correctly and has done it well, 99% chances are there would be agreement in next steps. However, the appraiser should be open to modify his or her thoughts based on the discussion that the person has with the appraiser. That's critical. A lot of appraisers feel it below their dignity, or they feel that's an ego which comes in the way to actually sort of agree to what the appraiser's point of view, which could be contrary to what the appraiser was trying to tell the appraiser. In fact,
So interesting point which Deepak Da has brought out is that the appraiser needs to vary his judgment if required, if there's a difference of opinion. He should be open enough, humble enough to say, okay, I stand corrected and there is a difference of opinion there or a different view.
absolutely, I have always got more respect from such people when I have said that fine, I was wrong in what I was trying to tell you, and I stand corrected. There's nothing wrong. All of us are human. And that is what makes us more effective supervisors.
Anjan,
As
you have a point. You have raised your hand. Would you like to? Yes, Anjan.
I think it was maybe a slip. All right, Sumit, to the last
Yeah.
point.
And the last point, if Anjan doesn't come in now in the next 2 seconds, is that feedback should be more of reinforcement, a little less of redirection, lesser of inclusion, and least about exclusion. And I believe Deepak Da will have to explain what is reinforcement, redirection, inclusion, and exclusion.
See, basically, what we must remember that if we give a feedback to somebody saying that you are doing a good job, the person feels good. However, we need to tell him what is he exactly doing good so that the person can keep doing it more often. And that is all about reinforcement. Redirection is when a person is not moving in the correct direction. One needs to redirect the person so that the efforts are channelized, which will help improve the efficiency, effectiveness of the person and align the person to meet the departmental, functional, and organizational goals. There are areas where person may need to include few things which he or she is not doing during the period of appraisal, and there we must mention what he or she needs to do additionally because of the reasons that must be stated. And it's not that tomorrow you have to start doing this. No, it will never get acceptance. We must give the reasons for including an action, behavior, task, whatever it is, based on the appraisal to the person that we are appraising. And finally, hopefully, there will be very little things which we would ask the person not to do anymore based on the appraisal that we are conducting for the period and the role that the person is performing and the way he or she is conducting in achieving the goals and meeting the objectives of the roles and responsibilities. It is extremely important that these get captured as a part of the way forward in terms of the appraisal process to have the type of impact that we want on the person. One thing which we have not put it in the slide, but I think it's important for me to add, is after the appraisal, we cannot wait for another 6 months for another appraisal to see if what has been told in the appraisal is being embraced by the person or not. That is where a review becomes important, which should be done at a much shorter periodicity so that the person is sort of guided to the next level of performance based on whatever we gather while doing the appraisal. That's paramount. Any
Awesome.
questions, any comments that you would like to make? Because we would like to continue this conversation every month. Sumit and I are available. We have our email IDs mentioned at the bottom of our photographs. If you do not want to ask any question during this session and would like to reach out to us on a one-on-one basis, you are most welcome. We look forward to having you again in the next month's version of conversations. Believe me, all of us need to improve our own self as also how we deal with people. And our entire endeavor and effort is to help us get more out of ourselves and more out of the people with whom we work, whether they report to us, whether they are senior to us, whether they are our peer group, because at the end of the day, it is all about people and they matter the most in life and business.
With this, I believe we come to the end of our conversation 2, which is about appraisals. I thank you all, each one of you who is here. Thank you. Thanks a lot for participating. One last request is if you could start your videos so that we could have a good, wonderful group photograph and we could look at each one of you, wave hands to you, smile together, and give a wonderful, big enough photograph. Thank you. So here is Siddesh, Shalini. Thank you. Hi, Raghunathan. Hello, Amjad. You look very different. Where is other? There's Sangeeta. Hi. So here we are. Anyone else who would like to switch on? Do switch on. We have another 30 seconds and then we would give a big smile and then switch it off. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. And we would connect with you again next month.
Thanks a lot.
On the
You
same
will
series.
be we will have this video uploaded on a YouTube channel for your future reference, and we will be cutting it into short videos, edits, which you can attend whenever listen to as a mini post. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.